Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Wish you could see, I already tried. I wanted to have the snow as my background, but it didn't work because it's too bright. And so it's just like this big white light behind me. But anyway, it snowed. I'm very happy. But anyway, welcome everybody. We are talking about one of my favorite topics today, carbohydrates. Now, really, we've already talked about carbohydrates. Why? Because we talked about fiber and plants. The basis of all plants is carbohydrates. But anyway, we're not going to go there yet. So we've been talking a lot about listening to our body. And over the last couple days, I have been focusing on macronutrients, on what we need to be putting into our body to support our menopause bodies. Because if we are going to get 31 days to a simpler menopause, we have to talk about what we're putting into our body. So today, we are going to talk about another key nutrient for menopause, and it is considered a macronutrient. Fiber is actually falls under the macronutrient of carbohydrates, and we're going to talk about them. Why? Because these guys are so misunderstood and so demonized. So I'm going to start off right off the bat, so this way you know if you actually want to continue listening. Because if you are a peri to postmenopause woman, all of this will apply to you. But if you are not open to hearing science-based information about carbohydrates, then maybe I am not the right one for you. Because here is the science, here is the facts. Carbohydrates do not cause weight gain when eaten in whole food form. So if you have been told to go low carb to lose weight in menopause, let's just clear that up right now. You are not gaining weight because you're eating apples, because you're eating oranges, because you're eating broccoli, because you're eating asparagus, because you're eating even bread, even, excuse me, rice. Unless you're eating it in exorbitant amounts and eating more than your body needs, which we'll be getting into, those foods, whole grain, whole food carbohydrates do not make you gain weight. I am in some of these groups and people are like blaming bananas for their weight gain. You guys, bananas are not making you gain weight. Now, if you're eating, 8 bananas a day, then you're probably eating more than your body needs. And we are going to talk about with what we should eat them. But anyway, not should, but the ideal. But anyway, so carbohydrates are not the enemy. They are not. Hey, Jackie. Hi, Cheryl. They actually support your energy. They support hormones. They support metabolism. They support digestion. But of course, like many things in life, not all carbs work the same way in your body. So today we're going to talk about how carbs work with your body in menopause, the different types, why going low carb actually can work against you, whether you're perimenopause or all the way into, like me, postmenopause, and how you can set yourself up for success with carbohydrates. So why do carbs matter? And why do they matter more now than probably for some of you than they did before? Because I know there are many women who did keto prior to entering into perimenopause, and it worked for weight loss, and now it's not working. So let's just talk about it. Carbohydrates are the body and the brain's preferred source of fuel for your body. I know people want to say they're not essential, but they are your brain, your energy. Your brain runs on glucose. Cutting carbs too low can cause brain fog, and cause fatigue. It can cause irritability. Then we've got our hormones and our hormonal balance and what we're trying to create in our body. Carbs help to regulate cortisol, the stress hormone, and they support serotonin, which is our happy hormone. So all of this can affect mood, and you have to remember, like if you've got excess cortisol, if you've got one hormone off, there's usually more than one, right? It's a very delicate balance with all of our hormones. So when we've got excess of some, it makes a mess of the whole thing. It's like a house of cards, right? You pull one out, or you put one extra in, and the whole thing falls down. Then we've got muscle preservation and metabolism. Cutting carbs too low forces your body to break down muscle for energy, and it can create a more sluggish metabolism over time. And I'm going to tell you another reason why it affects your metabolism in just a sec. But then there's your gut health. Now, we talked about that when we talked about fiber. We're actually going to have a whole day on our gut health. But carbs feed your good bacteria, right? Prebiotics are carbohydrate foods. And that helps with digestion, it helps with cravings, it helps with a lack of inflammation, and it helps with immune function, and it helps with estrogen detox. We talked about all that. Then we've got craving control and satiety. The right carbs, the whole food carbs, help keep you full, they help you reduce cravings, and they provide long-lasting energy. And then we've got thyroid and metabolism support again in here. Your thyroid, which drives your metabolism, loves carbohydrates. Cutting carbs too low can slow your thyroid function. Now, to the point where you're hypothyroid, I don't know. But it could make it be a bit more sluggish, which could mean a sluggish metabolism and lower energy levels. None of that sounds good, right, ladies? So the issue itself isn't carbs. It's the type of carbs and how they fit into your overall diet, right? So not all carbohydrates are going to work the same way in your body. So we want to choose the carbohydrates that support energy, that support our hormones, that support our gut, that support our brain health, blah, blah, blah. All the things I just said. So what is that? Whole fiber rich carbohydrates, okay? So when someone says they're going low carb, I'm like, so you're limiting vegetables? Right? And fruit. And they're like, well, not vegetables, but fruit. Like, why? Why would you think that fruit is a bad thing for your body? You are denying your body such important nutrition. Anyway, fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, quinoa, sweet potatoes, lentils, beans, every plant in the world. Right? Now, when you think of carbohydrates, I know you probably go right to bread and pasta and rice. And you are correct there, but do not forget that fruit and vegetables and legumes and even the whole food, whole grains and quinoa, all of those. And we've got starchy vegetables, sweet potatoes, corn, our squashes, all of those. But they contain fiber, and they contain a plethora, because I like that word, of nutrients that help regulate blood sugar, support gut health, and that give our body the things that it needs. So what's the other one? Well, then we've got refined and processed carbs, right? These can cause more issues in your body. White bread, pastries, processed cereals, candy, soda. These are the ones that spike blood sugar and lead to cravings, crashes, and inflammation. Now, if you are limiting those, I would be very careful calling yourself, saying you're going low carb. I would say that you are reducing processed foods in your life. Because again, when you start believing you're living low carb, then you start looking for low carb everything. And a lot of things, if they're trying to take out carbs, they're putting more crap in there, right? Low carb tortillas, low carb this. Tortillas, again, are not the reason you're gaining weight. Okay. Sorry, I get a little excited. Key takeaways here. Carbohydrates with fiber digest slower and they keep your blood sugar stable. So that is why eating an orange, although there might be a small spike or an apple in your blood sugar, it's not going to have the same effect that a processed carb would do. Fiber slows it down. That is why diabetics do not have to not eat fruit, right? Okay, so why does low carb not work in menopause? So I know a lot of women, either they're trying it for the first time or they're coming from having had success with keto, thinking it will help them lose weight now that they're in menopause. But here's what actually happens. Increased cortisol, your stress hormone, low carb diets, because you are denying your body something that it wants. It takes so much energy for what your body is going through in menopause. And then you take out your body's preferred source of energy, which is carbohydrates, which leads to higher cortisol levels, high stress, again, then your whole endocrine system, your whole hormonal system is shaky, if not crashing. And when your stress is higher, it leads to more belly fat storage. It makes it harder to lose belly fat, also affects your sleep. I mean, increased cortisol, it's all over the place. We have enough of it in our day-to-day lives. We don't need to have our nutrition doing that to us too. Then we get loss of muscle and a more sluggish metabolism. When you don't have enough carbohydrates, your body can break down muscle for energy, making fat loss harder. You get worse sleep. I think I already said this. I forget sometimes when I get ahead of myself. Worse sleep and mood swings. Carbs help produce serotonin. Happy. We like serotonin, and that's actually produced in the gut. What is your gut like? Fiber. What is fiber? Carbohydrates. We got to keep this gut happy, which supports good sleep, balanced moods. Then we've got energy crashes and cravings. Fatigue is one of the number one things menopause women say they struggle with. And when you're not eating enough or you're not putting what your body needs into it, this is why you feel exhausted and irritable and you're constantly craving sugar. And again, then there's your slower thyroid function. Your thyroid relies on carbohydrates. Again, not in the refined form, not in the processed form, but in the whole food form. So if you've tried low carb, if you are trying low carb and it's not working, I just saw a woman in another group. I'm doing keto, I'm doing this, and I'm not losing weight. There is your sign that it's not working for your body. And if you, especially, I want you to start looking at how does all this stuff make you feel? If you feel terrible with how you're trying to lose weight, are you going to be willing to eat this way for the rest of your life? And if you don't figure out how to lose weight in a way that you can eat for the rest of your life, as soon as you go back to eating normal, you're going to gain weight. So instead of cutting carbs, let's look about choosing the right ones, right? So let's eat carbs for menopause health, for weight loss, for energy, for our happy hormones. So having 25% of your plate be carbohydrates throughout the day, something starchy, a whole grain, a piece of whole grain bread. I love bread. I will never give up bread. I love pasta. I do legume pastas though, but that's still a higher carbohydrate. Why? Because they make the legumes into a flour, right? Sweet potatoes, corn, any of the starchy vegetables. I love quinoa. I love amaranth. I love spelt. I love farro. I love my grains. I'm not getting fat from grains. Okay. But so if you are setting up your balanced meals, half your plate is non-starchy. We've got a quarter of our plate is protein. We're going to talk about this in more detail. I think it's Monday or Tuesday. But you don't need half your plate to be white rice. You don't need half your plate to even be whole grain rice. We don't need carbohydrates in that large of an amount. But if you are eating these whole food carbs, they're not going to cause weight gain. Now, you don't have to pair, like say it's the afternoon and you need a snack and you're going for an apple or an orange, right? You don't have to pair carbs with protein and healthy fats. If you are eating whole food carbs, they already contain fiber, which will slow digestion and it will slow how those natural sugars go into your bloodstream. But pairing a carbohydrate like that with protein and fats can help you with satiety and keep you feeling full longer. So when we talk about balanced meals, we're going to talk about doing our snacks that way. If you notice, a lot of my snacks are usually like an orange and some nuts, right? So then I've got a little bit of both and it's going to give me more bang for my buck, right? It's going to last longer. And you've got to be listening to your body. This 31 days to a simpler menopause is all about you listening. So if you are feeling sluggish, if you're feeling moody, if you're craving sugar, my first question is, are you eating enough? And are you trying to go too low carb? Let's just say it one more time for those of you in the back. Carbs themselves do not cause weight gain. It is the processed refined carbs that do, and it's eating them it's eating any food in more than your body needs. That's what causes weight gain. You could be completely vegan and eat all whole foods and gain weight if you eat more than your body needs. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that too. So today's challenge, today's exercise for all of you is to look at what are your carb choices. Do you have some grains throughout the day? Do you have oats in the morning? Do you have sweet potatoes? And are you limiting fruits and vegetables because you think they're going to gain weight? You are doing your body a disservice if you are limiting foods. I talked to somebody, what was she saying? She was doing less than 50 grams of carbs per day. Oh my goodness. And she was super low energy. Of course you are. blows my mind. But anyway, so are you eating mostly whole food carbs? Are you mostly refined? If you have been trying keto, if you have been going low carb, if it's not working, if you don't feel well, would you be willing for 3 days to bring some whole food carbohydrates back in and track how you feel? Will you let your body tell you? Because it will. I promise you. Okay. So I would love to hear from those of you who watch this. Have you ever tried low carb? Did it help? Did it leave you feeling worse? Have you been trying it now? Have you been under the impression that all carbs were bad carbs? Did you even know that that fruits and vegetables, that vegetables were even carbohydrates? Because a lot of people don't know, and that's okay. You don't have to know that. But I want you to understand this, because again, when you demonize carbs, you're demonizing all of them, right? If it's processed food, then let's be real clear what it is. We're not going low carb. We are reducing our processed foods. That's never a bad thing. We don't have to give them up completely. That's your choice. But anyway, so I'd love to hear from all of you how it's going for you in the carb world. All right, you guys. Now, you got to tune in tomorrow, because you know what tomorrow is? Wish I could do. I'm not good at doing a drum roll. I really wish I could. But tomorrow is International Women's Day. So I have a fabulous day 8, and 8 is my lucky number, which is really funny. A fabulous day 8 planned for us of the 31 days to a simpler menopause. I promise you it will be something you want to hear, and it will be for all my women. So yeah, I'm super excited. All right, you guys, have a good rest of the day.